Fire for your mind. The kosher clinician. I've told you in the past there are 7 steps before a man can become optimized. Female psychology and male mental health and physical health is paramount to the functioning of a man. In this show, we're going to examine how many male spaces are being more or less desecrated, but also explored for the sake of more or less pushing a misandric agenda. As you men know, Tawana Burke was the head of the Me Too movement. But it appears in this video that the woman Jen has ideologies that are similar to more or less Tawana Burke. In this show, I'm going to share with you and show with you that when men stand firm on their convictions, even the women that deem themselves feminists actually fall in line. I did a show in the past, and that show said that she only respects power and strength. When men are amplifiers of power and strength and masculinity, 2 things happen. Either she conforms to the essence of that man's masculinity, or she will abort that man and go her separate way. I want to challenge some of you men on today to explore this video, and I want you to look at it through the eyes of inquiry as I was on the Lead Attorneys channel, as I talk about how, or more or less, how men actually think when they're in the barbershop, and how women that are similar to Tawana Burke can often have what I call a schema affliction, because that schema affliction more or less asserts that they have a fixated knowledge about a man, but when they finally hear what men are actually thinking, it often comes with pain unless they're able to modify that thinking error, as I call it, magnification and catastrophizing, and learn to understand how men think as it relates to helping them become whole, and as it helps men become whole, and as it helps communities become whole. I want you to enjoy this show by my man and dear friend, the Lead Attorney. And I want you guys to sit back and relax and enjoy this show. And I want you to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through to become an optimized male. Mental health is paramount to anything in this space that we're dealing with. And while many deem therapy as an unnecessary commodity, as you're seeing now that many men in this space are actually collaborate, which in essence is a form of synthetic therapy. I want you guys to enjoy this show, and if you're having issues, email me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com, as I am a licensed clinical therapist. Be well.
Got a bone to pick with you. Listen, you asked to come on my show, and then I told you, all right, I want to have a woman on first.
Okay.
And then I scheduled the woman. It looks like we're going to be doing it next Thursday. But do you know what I noticed between me and you? I noticed that the day after I told you that I was going to have a woman on instead of you came out with a video, and the thumbnail for your video looked exactly like my thumbnails.
Which one are you talking about?
The Bill Cosby video. You stole my goddamn thumbnail. Do you hear the laugh? Like, not even a denial.
Well, no.
Listen,
Listen, I will say this, brother, much love. Listen, I told you, I think in the text, I told you, I haven't been inspired by your style. I don't know about that. I'm a man about mine. But let's be real. In this space, all men are inspired by other people. We all, like you, I think the show you did, I'm not going to say steal people concepts. I tried to flesh it out a little bit, but that particular thumbnail, yeah, some of your style, it definitely played a role.
Bit my shit is what you bit it, man. I felt a certain way about it, man. Like, I know the people in the chat, you guys don't care about thumbnails, but thumbnails to YouTubers are important.
It is, and I think I told you in the chat, Legal Turn. I think I said, yes, I was influenced by it. I don't think it was exactly like yours. I put a justice scale on it, but yes, it did. But yeah, I was influenced by it. Yeah, I think.
All right. Well, give me some credit. No, I'm just teasing.
Oh no, mad love, brother. Always mad love. But yes, listen, I actually agree with you I have 3 daughters, and I'm a clinical professional. I'm a clinical therapist, and we live in a world where men are actually, I believe, not given the respect and the honor that they're due. And I think a lot of time in this culture, people tend to gravitate to the feelings of the women. Um, there becomes a time when you got to be held accountable for your transgressions and your misgivings. And
shout out to Oregon. Shout out to Oregon.
That's funny, but that's very funny. You got some funny people in the show, but
my
yeah,
community is fucking it's second to none. I love my community so much.
But yeah, so Leah Turner. So yeah, so I will say this. I actually agree with you. I hear some of the guys saying, and shout out to the brothers on the panel, I respect you guys highly. But I hear people talking about, just because we have daughters, a lot of times, we can develop a concept, what I call the daddy princess syndrome, where they feel like they're entitled and they feel like, they can just do certain things and not be held accountable. I have 3 daughters. I have an oldest one that I had to check, and I had to temporarily cut her off. Because, see, the things that men need to drive their behaviors is respect. It's a high form of respect. What our girls and women need is love. And so when men feel like they're not respected, then they can't give you the love and adulation that you need in order to be successful. So I concur with you that at times we need to let our children walk the plank, because if they don't learn how to more or less be adults, they will continue that negative cycle. Now, I will say this for this young lady: in psychosocial development, a lot of times when a person don't get their needs met, that his daughter could be chronologically 38, but there could be a stage in her psychosocial development where she's more or less halted, or more or less haven't met those particular needs that she more or less needs. But I just feel like we live in a culture, man, now where like I said, a lot of times men are not given the respect that they need in order to give the child their love, and it's always the victim mentality. It's always back to victim mode. Let's reverse it, lead attorney, and say if this was more or less a man, will we still have that level of reciprocation if that was a man?
Right? Apparently not.
Right.
Apparently, when you said it like the daughter princess, like, it's exactly right.
It's the daughter princess syndrome, and what happens a lot of times, they make horrible wives. I tell my daughters all the time. My middle daughter is a 4.0 GPA student. She works. My oldest one is actually in your state of Georgia right now. But I had to check her a couple of times because she crossed a boundary. And once you cross that boundary, which is my respect, then you're going to get this work. You don't cross my boundaries as a man. And I think because we live in a society where men have not been exonerated. And listen, we could say it, the lead attorney, even from a concept as it relates to the tenets of theology. We always live in a culture where people say, honor thy mother and thy father. But that's not what theology says. It actually says, honor thy father and thy mother. And we tend to exonerate many times the mothers at the expense of the father. That's why many men don't go to church. That's why I started the Kosher Clinician, to empower men. Because when men feel empowered and loved, then we can turn around and love our women. But if there's not reciprocity in the process of masculinity, then a lot of times men feel broken, and they feel like they don't get the respect that they deserve. So that's my take on it. So I didn't have a problem with Dr. Dre. I think what he did was actually, I didn't have a problem with it. Not at all. Not saying he couldn't show her some kind of, because we don't know all the variables. We don't know what Dr. Dre did. We don't know if he's have extended the olive branch with this young lady several times. But how often do you assuage a person in negative behavior? With behavior modification, if you continue to more or less assuage that person and their bad behaviors, then the outcomes and the things that they're doing will actually continue to get worse. So you don't keep rewarding bad behavior. And behavior reinforcement, you don't keep rewarding bad behavior. Is his daughter potentially broken from one of the psychosocial stages of development? Yes. Does she need the love and the adulation of her father? Yes. But we forgot to ask the question, have Dr. Dre been broken as well? We always assume that these men are whole. We always assume that these men don't have psychopathologies that more or less hinder them from being the men that they need to be. But it's always, men are bad, throw men in the trash can. And anytime, the fairy princess wants something, we're supposed to give it to them. I tell my daughters, I love you, but you're not special. Anything you get, you must work hard for it and earn it. The same way I'm hard on my girls, I'll be the same way hard if I had a son. Do I love my girls? Yes. That's why they're great women. But at the same time, they will be held accountable for bad behavior. Because at the end of the day, only thing a man has is dignity and it's respect. And I really think, like I told you, I went to Brazil in the past. The stuff that we see here in this country, that's not tolerated in other countries. The men in those countries don't tolerate. I think men in America are too passive. We're very passive, and we are too agreeable, and we don't a lot of times stand up as men on principles. And I think in the end, our women tend not to even respect men like that. How many households do you know where the men say this is the way it's going to be, and or versus where the men defer to their wives all the time, and I got to ask my wife. And I'm not saying you can't work with your wife, and you guys have a conversation, you guys work as a team. But there's a lot of deferring when men act like they're scared to make decisions in relationships. And I'm telling you, it would never be me. I'm a masculine man. I'm 6'5", 6'6", and I say what I mean what I say. And I think that's the difference between being a masculine man versus a guy that goes along to get along. That's how I feel about that.
Facts.
So I agree with you, brother.
No,
I'll come to Georgia and give you some royalties on stealing your back.
Straight stole my damn thunder. Shout out to the coach. Listen, I agree with you, and really, I would think your opinion has more weight than mine.
Right.
Because you have daughters, right? And I don't.
Right.
But
I have daughters, right.
Yeah.
I do have daughters, and I am a licensed therapist. So I understand about psychosocial stages of development. I understand how those stages can be hindered. We have a lot of broken people in the Black community. We have a lot of broken men and women. And we have a lot of dysfunction that's poured upon dysfunction. And I think a lot of times because men don't have strong fathers, they tend to think the way their moms would tell them to think instead of thinking on principle based on how men will actually think. So that's what I think you see a lot in America. You don't see men stand on masculine principles anymore. You go to other countries, the men are masculine. Now, I don't believe in abuse. I don't believe in abuse of power. I think men should love their women. They should die for their women if they have to. But at the same time, men must get respect and honor in order to be men. So that's my take on that.
Can I press him on that? He's got a perspective. I want to press him with one question.
Yes, sir.
So she's cut off right now. Should she stay cut off forever?
Say it again.
She is cut off right now, as far as we know.
You're talking about the daughter, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's living in the car, blah, blah, blah. So if she doesn't change anything, should she stay cut off forever?
Not forever. If she makes corrective actions, I think she should have some level of grace to come back into his.
But what if she stays like she is now?
Well, there's a recompense for her bad behavior. There would be a recompense for her bad behavior.
I'm doing my TLA impersonation right now. I'm trying to get you to do that straight up. We're not changing anything. The situation is the way it is. We see that he's cut off. You say you agree with TLA,
right?
But then you qualified it, so you're kind of tightroping. So I'm wondering if
I don't think I'm tightrope. When I said once again, it depends on the mitigating circumstances.
If nothing changes, and I think I respect. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate.
No, you're fine. I don't have a problem. Yeah. Go ahead.
If she stays like she is, because she's cut off, and that's his daughter, in the situation, and he made his decision. If nothing changes from her part, nothing at all, does she stay cut off?
But see, the legal term didn't qualify if he said it's forever versus short term. Everybody more or less. So let me ask you this question: do you
wait? I think Frank is making a point. Like he's saying he's asking you a question, but it sounds like you're trying to wiggle out of it.
No, actually I'm not. I'm just trying to get clarity. Once again, when you say cut off, do you mean cut off indefinitely, or do you mean cut off forever? And then I can give you a qualifying position.
Forever.
So should she be cut off forever?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, if she doesn't meet the standards of his expectations as a father. Yes, I believe that.
Got it.
You cannot.
What's up, guys? Robbie here. If you want to learn how to make $1,000 a day
you cannot reward bad behavior, Frank. You can't reward bad behavior because it becomes a cycle of dysfunction.
Okay.
So yes, right.
Cool.
Right.
I feel you. I just wanted to have you, state that position all the way.
Oh, no doubt. Because it happens all the time, man. It happens all the time in other cultures. I think we live in a culture, man, where we're too placid. We're too flaccid with our kids and also with our relationships with our women. I think American men are very weak, unfortunately. I think we tolerate way too damn much. And because of that, a lot of times the women in our lives, they tolerate, but they don't respect it. They don't respect you. They'll tolerate you because they see our men as beta males. But one thing about being a masculine man versus a beta male, they might not like a masculine man, but they will respect the masculine man. Beta males are tolerated, but they're not respected. So at the end of the day, I'd rather be respected versus damn being tolerated. And so, like I said, I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost people. You know, I've lost jobs because I'm a masculine man, and being 6'5" and bald head don't help. But like I say, yeah, I stand firm on that. I stand firm with my convictions.
Can I piggyback off of something that he's saying? I agree with you, and I don't even doubt that Dr. Dre is also a broken person, right? And broken people raise broken people. Right. But once you're have the means and the ways and the resources to cut off everything that's broken, you don't think that the responsibility should be on Dre, seeing as he was an absent father and only fathered financially? Isn't he in the position as the mature, older person? He should be putting out the olive branch, in my opinion. He knows he didn't raise that girl correctly. He was a broken person, having children. She's broken. It probably happened, as you said, at a very young age. So that's why I say stop stressing the 38 years old, because she was probably broken at 10 or 11 or 12 when he stopped coming around or didn't come around at all. But don't you think it's more of his responsibility? Because you're talking from the point of view of a loving father who's involved with his daughters. So that disrespect to me is different than a disrespect from a child that you didn't rear, that you didn't raise, that you didn't nurture. But he has the means because of his position, and he also has the resources to be the one that's more mature, to be the one that can afford the therapist, to be the one that can afford the housing. Like, I think we're forgetting that we are talking about a broken person. Dr. Dre is broken. There's no question. You don't beat a woman's face in because you're not a broken man. So why is the response? It seems like we're talking about siblings. He's a father. He is the father. She is the child. It doesn't matter if she's 50. But, he's the father.
Right. And I understand what you're saying, but we're making a false assumption just because Dr. Dre is chronologically, whatever age he is, that he's okay mentally. Dr. Dre might be 52 as a man, but in his psychosocial stage of development, he could be 24. Dr. Dre needs intensive therapy. Most Black people need intensive therapy because we are broken. And so we make the fallacies that, you know, just because he's 52, that he's a healed man. A lot of men in this country are broken. And a lot of
doesn't matter though, according to you, because you agree with him.
What doesn't matter?
He's doing the right thing.
What doesn't matter?
Him being broken. Like, according to you, he has made the right decision. You agree with it.
Well, listen. There's a such thing called conscious and unconscious pathologies. We don't know the level that he's conscious about.
And I'm saying the pathology is irrelevant.
Well, I disagree. I think it's very relevant. I think
you agree with him.
Right, I did agree with that.
Right.
No doubt.
So the pathology is irrelevant to his decision that he made.
Once again, we don't know all the nuances to what's been going on with Dr. Dre and his daughter. We're making a lot of blanket assumptions. But once again, I stand firm in my convictions. If she does not more or less meet the qualifying standards of her father, that man has a right at some point to cut her off. Like I said, I don't have text to what was going on with Dr. Dre and his daughter.
Right.
You know, I don't have it. So right. so at the end of the day, we got to stand on. We can only go by what's been told in the media. I just know as a man myself, if I've given you the olive branch and giving you things over a period of time,
right,
and you're not making the corrective action to change your negative behaviors, I would not assuage you in negative behaviors. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
And like I said, I got a daughter right now in the lead attorney state. I love her to death. I had to check her.
Yeah.
I had to hold her account. She thought her mouth, she could get slick with her mouth. I said, I love you, but you're gonna get this work. And I gave her this work.
Right.
And she didn't like it. And she didn't like it. But at the end of the day, she's going to respect me at the end of the day as a man. We have too many men in America that are cream puffs. That's why I started the Kosher Clinician, because there's a lot of cream puffs in America, man. And men have not learned how to be men. And like I said, once again, women only respect masculine men. They'll tolerate beta males, but they don't respect you. They'll tolerate you. They'll take your resources. They'll take all the money you have. But at the end of the day, you don't make her tingle. You don't make her toes look like the witch on the Wizard of Oz.
I agree.
You know? Right, exactly. A woman want a man that can make her tingle, not a cream puff. A woman want a man to say, listen, this is the way it's going to be. You might not like it, but this is the way it's going to be. But we have a society where men tend to defer to the admonition of their women instead of saying, damn it, give me liberty or give me death. And that's what men want. And that's where I stand. So like I said, I'm in the position stage of my life now. You know, I don't really care what people say. I say what I mean what I say. And like I was joking with the attorney, I'm a man about whatever I do. I don't tap dance. I say what I mean what I say. And that's how I get down.
Now, Mr. Coacher, I do agree with you. And I want to say that, like, it kind of goes back to what the lead attorney was talking about how she's working 3 jobs.
Right.
She has, she's better off than a lot of other poor and destitute people. And as far as we know, she doesn't have any mental health issues as far as we know.
Right.
So, and with that, this could probably be the catalyst to actually push her to do something more. Now, like right now, she's working 3 jobs, but just like how everybody was saying, she might be able to just move, and then she might go to a lower cost of living area that might afford her to be able to not live in a car that she's renting. And then also, even if she even this, right? If Dr. Dre were to give her the allowance back again, like if she just apologizes and then that's good enough for him, and then he gives her the allowance, then there's nothing that's going to actually change. There's nothing that's going to make her do something for when he actually is gone, when he actually does pass. And then, like she could have used some of that rent money, had the jobs, and then she could have gone to something like, if she didn't have enough money to buy a house outright, she could have gone with something like a rent-to-own company like Divvy, and then they would have been like, okay, you know what? You don't have the money all up front right now, but then you can actually be able to get into a house. You can actually do something for yourself. And then, all that money she had all these years of getting everything paid for, a lot of people would like pray for that kind of stuff. They wish for that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like she was really privileged in this, and then it kind of just like, okay, just like how the lead attorney brought up earlier, just like how somebody getting into a car accident, cut off immediately, with no help.
Right. Well, listen, if you look at through the lens of theology, I know you guys brought theology up, and I grew up in the church. I might not necessarily live it now, but God always provides a way of escape. If you believe in the Judeo-Christian fabric, the way of escape was Christ. Now watch this. If you don't take that way of escape, then if you believe in the gospel, the end result is hell. So my whole point is this: she's going through a psychic hell right now because of the conscious choices that she's made as a woman. And I would say the same for a man. She's going through it now because of the bad choices that she's made. The thing I don't understand is that we pick and choose when we want to be strong and independent. When we're in the victim mode, we want to be damn strong and independent. But then when it comes down to a man helping you, then we're not strong and independent. So pick a struggle. If you're strong and independent, remain damn strong and independent. But don't be strong and independent based on when it's situational. And I think that's why men are so frustrated and tired, because we talk from 2 sides of our mouths. Leader Turner, you said something very poignant earlier. I think, what is it, Jen on the Block, men in this world have not necessarily had the power to run this world. Black men are the muse of society. When you say men, all men are not equal in America. There are stages to this. The white men have had the power to make the changes, to make the laws and the rules. Were there domestic issues, more or less, with black men and black women? No doubt. But black men have never had the power to impact policy to more or less infringe upon black women. We never had that power. So I take umbrage when people say, I take great umbrage when people say, man, this is a man's world. It's not. It's a white man's world, and a white man that has few white men that have power. But black men are in a caste system. The lead attorney, even myself, we had to work our asses off to get to where we got now. I went to UNC Chapel Hill, one of the most prestigious schools in the country, and I've caught hell getting to where I've gotten at. I've lost jobs. I've been discriminated because people didn't like me because I stood firm in my convictions. And I take risks even starting the show that I'm starting, the Coach of Clinician, because most therapists won't touch what I'm touching because it's not PC. But because I have an abiding love for the brotherhood, I've decided to take on what I'm doing, because black men need mentors. A lot of brothers have died in silence. A lot of men are not getting the honor and the respect that they need. A lot of men are actually suckers in their own home. You got men that won't even come home. Right, you got men that won't even come home because they're worried about what their wife say. I wish the hell a wife would try that on me. I wish she would. I'm a man in my house. And that's why a lot of times my kids get mad at me. Like I said, I had to cut my daughter off. But I say at the end of the day, like the gospel say, my word abides forever. And just like God has a word, the man's word is his principles and his standards. And when those standards are violated, then that man say, you gotta be cut off. And that's the problem now. People don't have, more or less, men that stand on standards anymore. They don't have standards.
Let me ask you a question about that. When I brought up patriarchy earlier, you don't think that even Black men benefit from a white patriarchal society? You don't think Black men also benefit from that when they're in with the big boys in the suits? You don't think that they benefit from that just because they're men?
I think the percentage is so low it can't be qualified. I think Black men in general, no. Is there a small percentage that perhaps? I guess, but I didn't benefit from it. I actually got a score again because watch this, Jen, on the block. The greatest enemy of the white man is the Black man. They're not afraid of Black women. They're afraid of me and the lead attorney, other masculine men. That's what they're afraid of. But they're not afraid of you. They don't see you as a threat.
It's even worse. You're absolutely right. I don't know if Jen knows about affirmative action, where Black women would count for twice as Black men. So companies would hire Black women at twice the rate as Black men because Black women, if you hire a Black man, okay, you get a check for you hiring a Black person. But if you were a company, you got 2 checks, you got 2 points for hiring a Black woman because she's a Black and she's a woman. So we had our own women competing against us and winning.
Right.
Like the kosher clinic is exactly right. I don't know if you understand some of this stuff, Jen. It's crazy in the Black community.
Right.
I didn't know that about affirmative action. That's why I'm asking questions.
Yes.
I want to stress something else that he said that to me it's so dangerous and it creates a violent environment. I think there's 2 different types of women. There are because I see this a lot in the comments as well, right? There's a lot of men that just sound bitter. And the question constantly is, I thought you were strong and independent. Weren't women strong and independent? I thought you were strong and independent. What happened? And it sounds to me like they just have, their own personal feelings about their horrible relations with women that happened way back when. I totally understand that there's a large demographic of women who are like, I'm strong and independent. I don't need no man, right? It's a quote that it's generational now, the quote, right? But then there are women who can submit to men, who respect men, who prefer a man to be head of household at all times, women who don't want men to cower to them. And I hate when they get mixed up. There are women who don't chant, I'm strong and independent, I don't need no man, but for some reason it gets convoluted and we all get mixed up in the same pot. No, I'm independent, I'm strong, I still need my man to be head of household. And I hate those 2 get mixed up because every time something bad happens to a woman or every time a woman fails, men, I thought you were strong and independent. Why is that so often? When that's not how all of us feel. I certainly don't.
Well, listen, there's a misnomer. We tend to assume that anytime a man speak a points of declaration that he's bitter, and it's not. Men are logical. We don't think with how we feel. If you notice, women are nurturing, but men are about principle. And so I think a lot of times when men speak with this kind of conviction, you got to understand, we're not programmed to do things based on feeling. We're not saying we can't be emotional. We are programmed to think logically. Mm-hmm. And so in the contextual framework of logic, the stuff that people are saying a lot of time, it doesn't make sense. So as a logical thinking man, I got to look at things based on logic. Me and my own wife, I've been married for 25 years. So I'm an old head. But at the end of the day, she respects me as a man. She has no other choice because I take damn good care of her. But if she, feels like she can't respect me as a man, then, she can get this work too. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter who it is. Mama, grandmama, I don't care who it is. Sisters, they can get this work.
Rimtime Custom Wheels is your source for cutting-edge rims and tires. With no credit check, you can be approved today. Yes, it's that easy. With no to low down payment gets you riding today. Rimtime Custom Wheels.
And let me finish. And I've given it to them to the point that they don't like me, but I don't really care. Because at the end of the day, I'm a good man, and they know I'm a good man. Because you don't get kids that got 4.0 GPAs, you don't get daughters that about to graduate from college, don't have no kids, haven't been ran through. You don't get a little girl that got 3s and 4s in school, my youngest daughter. But I tell my daughters all the time, Daddy loves you, but you're not special. Anything you get, you must earn it. You're special to me as my girls. But you don't get no damn inherent privilege just because you're a female. No more than if I had a son, I would tell him the same thing. And when what's happening, we got a bunch of women that are entitled. Like I said, when I was in Brazil, you didn't have this level of entitlement. The women, they fought for their men. And they were fit, they were feminine, they were firm, and they showed love. But we live in a society where Black men are so broken that they are amused. It's a term that I created called the commodification of subjugation as it relates to solipsism. You know, and so men are just seen as damn commodities that anytime she cry or say anything, he supposed to tap dance and say, what do you, no, I do things based on principle. And like I said, I've had principles that you know, they say, you know, you're intimidating. I've had people judge me, you know, because of whatever, but I'm the iconic, educated James Evans.
I think, you know? But you're veering into chauvinism, though. Now you're veering into chauvinism.
I disagree with that. You got to understand your protection.
When a man says something like, well, you know, she's not ran through. When a man looks at a woman,
well, listen. Well, let me say this. Let me say this, Jan. Let me say this. Men are the purchasers of relationships. Women are the sellers. All right. We decide who we marry. You all decide who you sleep with. Did you know, Lita Turner, you did a show back, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And let me finish. You had an African elder on your show. And she gave a qualifying standard to sexual market value. And what she was saying is that the qualifying standard for sexual market value was a woman had to be a virgin, no kids, and she had to be educated. But my point is, men in America, we just take anything. I grew up in a strong traditional family. My parents are still married. My parents have been married for over 60 years, over 50 years. Wow. Yes, my grandparents too. So I grew up in a strong traditional Black family. I told you, you know, my mom was a virgin, so was my grandma. But my whole point is, you know, it's like a lot of our women want to be treated like women of yesterday, but they want to be modern at the same time. And I keep telling women, water seeks its own level. So it has nothing to do with chauvinism. It has nothing to do with chauvinism because, like I say, your worldview, my worldview are totally different. You come from a very liberal worldview, and I'm okay with that. I respect your position because you've been very kind. But I come from a traditional conservative worldview. And so our worldviews will never coalesce. It's like oil and water. They're not going to coalesce, and it's okay. I'm okay with that. But what I'm saying is that men, we determine who we decide who we marry. But see, the problem is, Jen, most men lie to women. Men have been silent so bad that what they tell me in silence is not what they're telling you in public. Most men, not all, want a woman they can respect. Most men don't want, women that've had a lot of fun. We understand people are human, but at the end of the day, most men, if they could get a virgin, that's what they want. I know that's what I want it. So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Jen hated that.
Well, listen.
No, I don't hate it because I'm very old-fashioned, but when you veer into, she needs to be a virgin, now you're being ridiculous.
But I'm not because here's the qualifying difference.
Unless you're saying he has to be a virgin.
But watch this. Ideally, him too. I don't have an issue with him being a virgin, but you're still missing the point. Watch this, Jan. I promise you this. If you had the option to date a man that was 6'5", handsome, and all the women wanted, but he had to share women versus a guy that was nerdy and was a virgin, which one would you take?
Nerd.
Okay, I don't believe that. I believe you're saying nerd now.
No, I've dated nerd. Because I hate the idea of a man that's been through just as much. Men hate it because I'm old-fashioned. I don't want you.
Okay, I respect that.
After you've been with 50, 100 women, and that is my role as well. I'd rather deal with a nerd that I can, you know what I mean, play with and mess with and bring things out than a guy who's been with 5,000 women before me. That does not turn me on, whether he's 6'5" or 6'7".
But what I'm saying, okay, let's say you're the exception to the rule. But I've interviewed a lot of women. And my whole point is when I've interviewed them is this. A lot of them, when they actually talk, they say they will be more tolerable of a man that's done that because some women see a man that's chaste as not having game or not being able to get women. That's how some women actually see it. So like I said, at the end of the day, it just depends on the woman and how she was raised. But I promise you, if you had a chance to date a rich athlete that was handsome, versus say somebody that was, versus somebody that was, just an average guy, I think he would choose a rich athlete that had his share of women versus the
Let me
average guy.
can I tell you something? Let me be frank, since we've all been here for a while. I dated a very rich athlete, one of the richest ones, and he's a household name, okay? A football.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool.
I left for a guy who an insurance adjuster.
Gotcha. Okay, well, cool.
What?
Okay, it's not.
Wait, what? Hold on. Wait. You dated. Wait. You dated one of the richest athletes in the country, and you dumped him for an insurance agent.
His contract was the highest one. I'm not going to say when.
Okay, don't say his name. But wait.
No, I'm not going to say his name.
Don't say his name. But wait. Let me so I can understand.
Okay.
You dated an athlete who had the highest contract in the nation, and you dumped him for an insurance adjuster.
I did.
What was the reason?
I did. I'm sorry.
That's a nice effect.
I know this is going to be a strange show, and if I did, I would say I would keep it real, right? At first, it was intriguing. I was like, oh my God. And the first attraction wasn't even the money. It was like, he said 6'5", 300 muscles everywhere, tatted up. I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And then once you're in, and you're part of the entourage, and you're part of the fly here, fly there, and you're part of the, I didn't like the environment, right? I didn't like the environment. I was like, this is not really me. I think he needs a certain type of woman. And then after me, he got with stripper after stripper after stripper. So we weren't equally yoked. He needed like a girl that was, where he was. And I wasn't there. I got bored quick. So,
hey, Jen,
you got bored of him?
I got
right.
Wait, you got bored of him, and then you went to an insurance adjuster?
Well, not like.
Oh my God, you guys are come on. Oh my God.
Wait. I didn't leave the athlete for the insurance adjuster. I'm saying my ex-boyfriend was just a regular guy with a regular job.
Okay. But
he was 6'5" and he was 6'2".
but leave the turn to watch this. But actually, this is movie class and sound. But leave the turn. This is actually proving my point, though. This is actually proving my point. Did you know that right now there's a 29% of men are the virgin rate for men are actually at an all-time high at 29%? Why is that? Because men that are virgins, that are sometimes good brothers, they are seen as lames, and I don't think it's right. Because I think ideally men and women should both come to the table that way, ideally. But we don't live in
I like lame.
But we don't live in an ideal world. But watch this. Here's the problem I have a lot of times. Women can always have their qualifying standards. You got to be tall. You got to be educated. You can't be dusty. But then when men say we want a woman with no kids, she can't be ran through or whatever, then all of a sudden it's chauvinism. I don't understand the hypocrisy, because I can say your logic is misandry. So my whole point is, why is that women can have their standards, which I'm okay with, by the way. But when men say, I want a woman of a certain ilk, then all of a sudden it's a problem. The African elder that you had, Leader Turner, actually, she did the expose, was actually talking about, and I'm going to let you know, I'm going to do a show on that. I'm going to take a clip.
You gonna take my thumbnail too?
No, I ain't going to take a thumbnail. But I'm going to do a show on that because it was actually good, man. It was good. The African elder was actually talking about sexual market value. And there was a time when that was just normal. It wasn't nothing extraneous. It was just the norm about 50 or 60 years ago. A woman comes to the table with no kids and a virgin. What's normal? But now it's abnormal, And so it just, with a 29% virgin rate, you're actually proving my point that some women see those poor men as lames. And a lot of those men are actually frustrated.
I just want to say, I don't see those men as lames. And I don't see anything wrong with a man having standards. I don't want a woman with kids. I don't want a woman on welfare. I don't want a woman. It's the language, not the standards that you have, but the language. You say she through.
But do you have the same issue when they use that same language as lame or dusty? See, you see the hypocrisy. If we have our terminology as men, then it's a problem. But when y'all call men lame, dusty, broke, then all of a sudden it's no issue.
Yeah, but men, I didn't say that. I didn't say
I understand what you're saying, Jen. But what I'm saying, I'm just trying to give you a point of reference, a contextual point of reference. Men have standards too. And what I'm telling you, masculine men, when they're in circles, actually talk the same way that I talk. they just won't tell you to your face because they don't want to hurt your feelings because they've been conditioned to submit to your feelings. Right. But I haven't been conditioned to submit to nobody. I say what I believe in. I'll be.
You're a bit more abrasive.
No,
I don't think
I just think we live in a world where we're not used to strong masculine.
No, what he said was he said you're saying that you don't think men talk like him, and what he said was men talk like him when they are around other men, right? And that's true. And it hurts women a lot because women will say on the one hand that they don't want to hear men talk like he's talking,
right?
But then on the other hand, when men say, "Fine, you don't want to hear." You don't want to hear us? We're going to talk amongst ourselves.
Right.
But we're going to talk amongst ourselves in the country clubs. We're going to talk amongst ourselves in the boardrooms. We're going to talk amongst ourselves in the cigar rooms. And then women like you are like, oh, this is the patriarchy. You won't let me into your boardrooms. You won't let me into your cigar rooms. You won't let me onto your golf courses.
Right.
That's what you women say. It's true.
And that's why I created a man space. Because a lot of men feel like they don't have spaces to articulate their feelings. They don't have what I call a group catharsis, where men can actually come together to congregate and to share their pain and their burden. And that's why, and thanks again, Leader Turner, for having me on. That's why I created, not in our own barbershop. He's right. That's why I created a synthetic YouTube channel, The Kosher Clinician. That's why I did it. To try to help brothers.
I think that's great. And I don't think that women need to be a part of those conversations. The only thing I said is I don't think men get together everywhere and talk about women that are ran through. I'm sure there are
I'll say this, I disagree with you. Masculine men do say it.
Okay.
If you got cream puffs and beta males that have been raised sometimes, unfortunately, by women, they might not say it because you got to understand a lot of our men that have been conditioned to think on ways that more or less address their mother's feelings. But masculine men that have been raised by their fathers, a masculine man says, son, you need to get what you deserve. Get what you deserve.
Let's not make it synonymous, masculinity and being abrasive and chauvinistic. I don't think you have to be abrasive and chauvinistic to be a manly man, head of household. I don't like those two things being.
But who said anything about being? Once again,
facts. He was about to say who said anything about being abrasive. And he's exactly right.
Say the language. That's the language that men use.
But see, Jen. Once again, Jen, once again, you want me to think the way you feel, and I don't work that way. I think the way I think.
I'm saying not.
I'm just, but your schema. You got a schema affliction. Your schema, more or less, is based on how you. You got a schema affliction. Your schema is based on how you think men should talk. And I'm trying to tell you, masculine.
No, I didn't say that.
Hold on, but let me finish. But what I'm saying, when you use those liberal catchphrases like toxic and chauvinistic, that's how a lot of our women have been indoctrinated. I went to a very liberal school. It don't get no more liberal than damn this, but I'm not liberal. I'm a man. My degrees and my institution does not supersede my masculinity. And so I've always been this way. I'm just a masculine man that don't change. There happens to be a Leo, by the way. You know anything about Leos? Leo's got that swag. You're a Leo too, brother?
Yes, sir.
So Leo's coming up too. No doubt. Leo's got that swag. We say what we mean, we say, and we stand on our convictions.
That makes
I have one of the biggest.
Before the Billions has no swag. Come on, Dale, before the Billions.
Hey, but you know what? Despite not having swag, I still got a girlfriend. So.
No doubt. There you go. Like I said, man, at the end of the day, we have some of the biggest hearts in the world. We'll take care of the people we love. But at the same time, it must be reciprocity. And I think we got to get back to men being men, because listen, men are walking away from relationships. Men are not approaching women anymore because they are afraid for the careers. Women are so damn duplicitous. They say one thing and mean something else. And so what men are actually saying, look, we're gonna be men. We're gonna stand on our convictions. And just like when I came back from Brazil, my motto is I'm gonna leave one brother at a time. Brothers, if you don't have passports, get your passports, because it's greater over yonder. It's greater over yonder in those countries where you're treated like men, where the women are feminine, where the women honor you and respect you.
A lot of men don't qualify for that.
Where the women don't mind cooking a meal for you and don't feel like a slave. Because see, the thing I don't understand, Leader Turner, we always say, women say, oh, the cook for a man makes her a slave, her a slave. But at the same time, changing tires, being on guard duty 24 hours, expected to provide and protect. What in the hell does that make him?
You're right.
Teddy Pendergrass said, it feels so good to love somebody and somebody to love you back. But a lot of men are not getting that nurturing and femininity that they need to be masculine men. They are emasculated. Yes. And that's why masculine men say, the hell with it. Like Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death.
So they're bitter?
And a lot of men are walking away. They're walking away from it. Once, sweetie, shame and language doesn't hurt me. I don't, anytime black men have a point of contention, your mama black, you bitter, your penis small. That's goofy.
Yeah,
shit.
But it's unrealistic. But it's unrealistic.
I'm just saying. Every time a masculine black man says something, it's bitter. Why would I be bitter? I've been married for 20 years.
Listen, I didn't say you were bitter. I said men are also bitter. Let's not pretend that men
but watch this. But watch this. If they are bitter, but watch this, Jen. If they are bitter, I say, so what? If they are bitter, they have a right to be bitter.
Okay,
I say, but
I agree with you, but they are bitter.
I say, if they are bitter, I say, if that's a qualifying point of reference. If they are bitter, so what? For so many years, women was talking about waiting to exhale. For so many years, women said men ain't shit. They were bitter. Did we call them bitter? Did we say your daddy black?
Yes, you called them bitter.
Well, no. Did we use qualifying terms by saying that your daddy is black? You're bitter. I mean, I'm like, if some probably are bitter. They have a right to be bitter because they haven't been treated good. And so I tell men that it's greater over yonder. Black men abroad are treated like kings. I've seen, like Dr. King said, I've seen the promise of the glory of God. I saw it for myself. The men are treated like kings. They're treated with respect.
It's reciprocal. The relations between black men and black women have been disastrous. That's why black women are now dating outside of their race. Like, it's reciprocal. It's reciprocal. And black men have collectively called black women bitter and angry. And that's why we're dating this type of woman. It's reciprocal. So you can go to Brazil, but remember, black women are also dating outside of you guys.
All right. And guess what? I applaud them. They want to date abroad. I don't have a problem with that. I think a person should have a right to date who they want to date. I don't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with it at all. Only thing I hate is when black men do date abroad, they try to shame them and drag them back on the plantation. That's the part. That's the part that I don't like. They try to drag them back on the plantation because, once again, they want men to be mules. They want us to more or less serve them. Because that's called solipsism. It's called solipsism, the commodification of subjugation as it relates to being solipsistic. And what I'm saying, I don't bow to no one. I'm a man. I say what I mean what I say. If I do something wrong, just like I told the lead attorney, that's my brother. Yeah, I got inspired by his concept.
Inspired. Don't say it. You stole my shit. Say it.
I'm not gonna say stole, but I was inspired. Oh yeah, I was inspired. Yeah, I was inspired by your thumbnail. Yeah, I was inspired. But but like I said, I've always been this way, and I'm gonna die this way. And at the end of the day, you don't get what I've gotten by not being a strong masculine man. And what I've learned, most women want strong masculine men. They just don't know it. They just don't know that that's what they want. They've talked from two sides of their mouth, but they want a strong masculine man. And you're from a Latin culture, so you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
You're Afro-Latina, so you know.
That's why I'm agreeing with you.
Right.
That is absolutely true. That part is absolutely true.
Right, and God forbid if I was ever to get married again, which I don't plan to, I probably never, unless she's a special woman, she had to be extremely special.
Brazil.
I probably never.
She has to be from Brazil.
Oh yeah. Well, listen. As long as she meet my standards as a man, she's good. As long as she meet my standards.
Or Grog is killing it. You got damn right. The leaders of his company got that work. Shout out to Or Grog, man. Kill it. Man, the chat session is on fire. Y'all are killing it in the chat. Everybody. Let me get this on the screen. A lot of you people are asking, who is this man? A lot of you are like, man, he's killing the game. He is the kosher clinician. Tell everybody about your channel. You're killing it. Everybody wants to know who you are.
I am a licensed clinical therapist. My background is very diverse. I first got my first degree in law enforcement. I worked as a mental health correction officer. I went to North Carolina Central and got my bachelor's in social work. I taught school for 5 years. And I got my master's from UNC Chapel Hill. So I am a licensed clinical therapist that more or less infuse clinical concepts to the human art of science. And so I do that because, like I said, a lot of Black men need a place to speak and to talk about their pain. So my channel is The Kosher, KOSHER, clinician, like a clinician, The Kosher Clinician. because my concept is based on in the Hebrew 7. If it's not 7, it's not kosher. If it's not kosher, it's not right. And there are 7 principles that a man must go through in order to be optimized. Understanding.
Oh, shit. We're getting deep. Okay, let's hear it.
Right. So those 7 principles are faith, family, female psychology, finances, world travel, politics, and male health. Once a man can master those 7 core qualities, he becomes optimized as a man. And I've more or less embraced one of those lately, which was world travel, by going to Brazil. I'm going to be in the movie Frustrated 3. Go check out Al Grease. Al Grease is going to have a movie called Frustrated 3, and it more or less encapsulates why men are going abroad, why they're tired of the dating trends in America, why they're tired of the toxic relationships in America, and why they're looking for women abroad that are feminine, kind, and somebody that can calibrate their masculinity. A feminine woman is powerful. A feminine woman can help a man become very successful. But a lot of our women are broken too. And a lot of our women are very masculine. But when you are genuinely feminine, a man will give you the world. You know, Teddy Pendergrass made a perfect song, The Mona Lisa. He said, you inspire me. He said, you inspire me. And men want a woman, most men want women that can inspire them to greatness. Not somebody that's combative, not somebody that's constantly talking back or whatever. A man wants a woman that can inspire him to be a great man. And if she gives him that reciprocation, he'll die for her. We'll slay the dragon for you. We will die for a woman like that. But
I want to subscribe to your page, but do I have to bring a plate first?
Everybody is subscribing to you, man. Shout out.
If you bring a plate, I'll wash your car. How about that? I'll wash your car. I'll wash your car for you. See, the thing about me, I'm a traditional man. I don't mind reciprocating. I don't mind, taking care of my woman, showing her well. I'm very old school traditional. I write poems, but I'm a man. That's the difference. I'm a man, and and I'm a dial man. So that's how I roll. That's how I roll. Leader Turner, if I ever come in Georgia, man, we're going to chop it up, man. We're going to chop it up.
Absolutely. Listen, everybody is saying that they subscribe to your channel. Listen, let's get them up. Let's get these numbers up, guys.
It, man.
Thank you guys so much for subscribing to him. But it's I'm thanking you. But you see, listen, he came on the chat, he came on the stream, and he put in this work. Okay.
Listen, Leos, we don't run from our problems. We run to it. I don't run from them. I'm old school, man. So that's how I roll.
You gave us that work. So it's okay. Shout out to the Closure Clinician. I assume that you guys are dropping the chat. Everybody's saying that they are subscribing. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it, brother.
Please go subscribe. Y'all come back and tell me how many of my thumbnails he got over there.
Real quick, let me ask you a question. What month were you born, man?
I was born in February.
Oh, you're a Pisces.
I'm a Pisces.
Oh, hell no. That's why
he's justifying it. He said just the Pisces. Shout out to the Closure Commission. Thank you guys so much for supporting our
salute, brothers. Frank, salute. What's Jenny on the block and Young Lion in the corner. Young Lion in the corner. No doubt. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Be good.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. All right. Be well.
All right. We had Kiyu.